Hi and welcome to 2022 and back to the channel. And guess what? Shock horror, we're not working on a Subaru. Yes, it's a new year, and for those of you that are sharp-eyed, it's a new workshop as well. We have moved to a premises that has a bit more space, so it should make it a bit easier for us to get our work done and also to produce videos. And yes, I know I have said that several times in the past, and getting videos out has not been a strong point, particularly last year, and hopefully we can get them out a bit quicker this year. Apologies for those who have been waiting. Anyway, the 2022 season is looming on us. We only have about just over a month to the start of the Carnacross and Rally Sprint series, and just over a month and a bit really until the start of the State Rally Championship. And we are quite busy. We've actually got three simultaneous projects going on at the moment in our workshop, and a fourth as a sort of satellite build as well. So we are really quite busy, and they'll filter through. So anyway, I said earlier on that it wasn't all about Subarus, and that is true. However, definitely have one here. So let's take a look at what we've got and what we're doing. Obviously, we've already started work on these before we got a chance to get a video together. So let's start with the Lancer first, because this is actually a rally car already. It was a 2006 model Lancer. Nothing particularly special about it, 2.4 litre Myvec. Some of you may recognise this car because it actually was the Clubman Series winning car last year. And it's come to a new owner, a new member to our team, and we are re-preparing this car to do the 2022 season. We've gone through it already and had a good inspection of what we've bought, and basically it needs a lot of tidy up bits and pieces on it and a few maintenance items on it. There are a few things that we weren't particularly happy about with it, you know, that were either done in the build or along the way sort of thing that need to be sorted out. One of those is this little fun gadget here. This welding for the extractors to put the O2 sensor in there is less than average, so we need to sort that out. Probably need a new set of extractors. Also, the air filter on this car setup, not the best. The factory airbox has been cut off. This airflow meter was actually upside down and had a pod filter set up on it, and the way it was designed, it was basically funneling muddy water and dust straight through, literally ram flowing it straight through into the airflow meter and into the engine, so we've got to rectify that. It's going to need a service and a few other bits and pieces with it as well, a few maintenance items. Got a broken transmission mount in there that we've got to sort out. Also, we found a few things interior-wise that we need to sort out as well. So at the moment, we're in the process of repainting the interior of the car, and it has come up way better. This is our normal aluminium colour that we use. We've got to refix some braided brake lines in there and get them sorted out. Not ideal. There were Tech screws holding it in, and we'll fix that up properly and nutsert those and bolt them in. There's a couple of things. It does have a braided fuel line, and apparently it's got an uprated fuel pump in it. We've got to sort that out. That plumbing is not quite how we'd sort of like it to go, and then sort of put it all back together the way we would like, which will make it neater and tidier and sort of more up to our standards, and that's what the new owner expects. Apart from that, it has all the basics in there. It's pretty much a road car with a roll cage in it, more or less. Engine-wise, is nothing particularly special. Has had an LSD fitted to it, and it does have MCA suspension in it, which does make a considerable difference. It's got the 2.4 litre Myvec engine in it, and this should be a great little car to enter the Clubman Series. So as we go along, we'll show some updates on the work that we're doing to this as we get through it. Righto, on to the car that probably needs the most amount of work on it. This is a 2001 Subaru WRX, affectionately known as the Bug-Eye. We have renamed it the Meth-Mobile. We picked this car up from one of our coastal suburbs that is sort of renowned as a bit of an area where druggies tend to hang out. And this particular vehicle, yeah, it certainly had some signs of some questionable owners in the past in it. Certainly had some very questionable maintenance done on it, and we've got a long list of bits and pieces to sort out on this thing. This one's not actually going to be rallied, at least not straight away anyway. We're going to, first of all, turn this into a rally sprint slash Carnacross car and get that under control. And then once we've done that and it's a runner and fairly reliable, then we'll look down the track at changing it over to a full rally car and caging it properly. We got it without a bonnet, hence why there is a blue bonnet on it. And we've got to put a few front panels back into it. There's a few interesting things on this that we have to sort out, so let's have a bit of a look. One of the very common problems with these WRXs is oil leaks. It generally comes out from the rocker covers, or that's certainly a known place. This engine was no different. This car's got about 320,000 kilometres on it, so it's got a lot of kilometres. The oil, we've already done an oil change on it, and it came out absolutely a black treacle. There wasn't a great deal of it. It was like tar in there, so hopefully that's going to help it a bit. We've also changed the rocker cover gaskets already. You can see the rocker cover is nice and clean there. We still have to degrease and get rid of all this horrible mess under here, which is just where the oil's been leaking everywhere. Also, at the moment, just part way through getting the engine mounts replaced. Both of those were broken. We'll take a look at those in a sec. And there was a few other bits and pieces. It has had a couple of good things done to it in the past, some sort of maintenance anyway. It's got aluminium control arms in it, which is an STI part, so somebody's fitted those. It has had a new drive shaft on the left-hand side, and actually both sides have had it done. There's a few other things to sort out in here. One of the other issues was the transmission mount wasn't bolted in properly, not at all. That was very, very average, so I had to sort all that out. It's got a 3-inch drain pipe on it with obligatory damage, which is very common for this sort of thing. Just really too big. We'll probably address that later on. There was a slight gearbox leak there. We think we might have sorted that out now. There was a seal around the selector, not doing the right thing there. And the rest of it underneath is not too bad, apart from, have a look at this. Now there's a bit of a story behind this. I'm showing you a shot of a Pedder's front strut, left-hand side. Basically, when we got this car, the left-hand front suspension had collapsed and the car was literally dragging on the left-hand side at the front here. And what it turned out when we got in there was that the strut had been completely damaged so badly, it was all squashed up and compressed. There's a shot there of what it looked like. We think what's happened is that somebody had run it at high speed into a curb or something and compressed that strut and bent it, and also that explains some of the damage under the car. It had gone along and destroyed the wheels on both sides, the left-hand side wheels. I think they'd both gone over curbs. The left-hand front one apparently was shattered and we got it on a space saver. The left-hand rear one had a huge dent in a crack in it, so that was a throwaway as well. We also got it without any brakes on it. Now, that was an interesting one. We got this thing from a wrecker, and the wrecker had sold the brakes, just a standard set of brakes. So we've hunted around and found a second-hand set of a 4-pot Sumitomo calipers. They're very common brake calipers and rotors, and we will put these in. No big dramas there. The front brake lines and front brakes are no big dramas. The rears, however, on the left-hand rear, the wrecker had actually cut the brake line, which is an odd thing to do. The rest of them have been unbolted, so then we've got a bit of work there. We're going to have to replumb that left-hand rear brake line now. Anyway, in the scheme of things, the bodywork is not terrible on this car, apart from the typical paint fade, a la like this. The rest of it, however, not too bad. It's fairly straight. Interior wise, not in too bad a condition either. We've already got in here. I can see there's a bit of mess there where we've been mucking around with stripping things out and trying to get rid of the useless stereo wiring in there. We'll tidy all that up as well. We've also started removing the interior, like the carpet and things like that, and all the trims are gone. We've still got to get the tar all off the floor and whatever and sort it out. There's the rear brakes in there that we're going to put through. But all in all, not a bad package to start with. Before I get on with replacing the engine mounts in the car, I'll give you guys a look at what's happened here. This is a very common problem with Subarus. These two engine mounts are probably the original ones for the car are broken. The vulcanizing has failed there and the engine mount is no longer doing what it's supposed to do. It is possible that was partly from the impact from running over the curbs, or maybe a few hard launches on the car as well. Also the oil leaks. A lot of oil had leaked down. This one's the driver's side engine mount, and that one was the worst, and the oil had got all into it and all over it, and that tends to also perish the rubber as well, and then they become unbonded. So usual story for these, we put a set of Group N or STI engine mounts in it, and they're basically set and forget, and once I've got those back in the car, we shouldn't have any more drama. Right, with the engine mounts done, let's get on and fit the brakes to this thing. These are just a second-hand set of rotors and calipers. The pads are not too bad, they're probably 50% worn. They'll do for a start anyway, and we'll worry about the rest of them after that. It's just a matter of actually getting a set of brakes in this thing to begin with. These are the 295mm rotors and Sumitomo front calipers, the 4-pots. They're quite a good brake. Done this work on these quite a few times in our videos. They, as we've said before, they don't fit over the 15-inch wheels. So we've already got a set of 15-inch wheels organised for this to go over the big brakes and run the 15-inch rally tyres. Being this is a GD, it can run a 205 rally tyre instead of a 195. We commonly fit the 195s to the GCs, as you know. Now, while I'm doing this, a quick tip: if you've got to change engine mounts in Subaru, the EJ engines, they're not the easiest cars in the world to change the engine mounts on. Particularly the back bolts on the right hand side of the engine can be very difficult to get at. So the trick is, if you pull the drive shafts out, just take them out from the inner on the gearbox, that makes it way easier to get at that back bolt and sort that out. Righto. Normally when we do these brake conversions or brake work on a rally car or even rally sprint, even road cars can benefit from it. We change out the rubber brake lines, these factory flexible lines, to a braided line. You can buy the kits online for them. They're not particularly cheap for what they are, if I'm honest. They're quite expensive for what they are, but there are reputable kits available, and it's a matter of disconnecting the brake line from the caliper and from the hard line where it mounts to the bodywork. Usually it's just an unbolt job, and pull a clip out and away you go, and then change those over. It does require bleeding the brakes. In this case, these rubber lines look okay, and for the time being we will leave the rubber lines in. Being what this car is doing in the early stages, it won't be a drama, and then later on we will upgrade all these brake lines to braided. More than likely, because we will remove the ABS in this in future, it'll end up having braided brake lines effectively from the calipers all the way to the master cylinder, and the rears will have a similar setup. Okay, so got a little bit of a hurdle here to overcome now. Went to put the rear brakes on, had a bit of drama there with getting a drum sorted out. The retaining clip had come off the shoes, got the drum off, and then realised that these are the larger brakes. These are probably an early STI brake. Instead of the standard 266mm rotor and a single pot slide caliper, these brakes are 290mm vented rotors, and they would have taken aluminium 2-pot caliper rather than the standard cast iron single pot caliper or slide caliper. So we've got a couple of choices here with this, and it's going to depend on what the customer wants to do now. We can either try and find a set of aluminium two-pot calipers and put those in with a new set of rotors, or we can change the complete rear hub assembly on the car to a standard WRX rear end, and then use the rotors and calipers we've got. Now, the calipers are likely to be more expensive, and there is a little bit of a drama with those aluminium calipers. They do fit under the 15-inch wheels. However, they are a bit prone to getting worn out and ground down by gravel and sand in the back of the rims, which requires a wheel scraper. So parts are probably more expensive, however labour is less, because it's basically going to be a bolt-on job. Or we go for the standard rear hubs, swap them out and put the standard rear end in, which will be cheaper in parts but more expensive in labour, because we've got to strip it all down and swap it all over. So at this point, we'll have to leave that in the hands of the customer, so we'll just pop the rear wheels back on for the time being. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the brakes quite sorted out today, but it is what it is. And instead, I think we'll probably get on to some other stuff like sorting out some panel work and the front end. No sooner had I said that we were going to start working on the front end and get that done just to finish off the afternoon, I discovered this. It's power steering fluid. I did notice the reservoir was a little bit low on power steering fluid, so I wasn't sure where that was leaking from, because it wasn't appearing to be leaking around the power steering pump. But by the look of this, it's coming from somewhere around the steering rack. So now we'll have to try and work out where that's leaking from. Excellent. Power steering leak sorted out. Ended up being a loose line, power steering line, where it bolts onto the rack. Not a very easy place to get at. It's a bit of a sort of a job. Luckily, it was not too bad a job to fix it. Did mean drive shaft out again to get in there on that side, but it's sorted, thankfully. So hopefully now there'll be less oil leaking under the car, and it certainly has showed you know, something else that we definitely needed to sort out. Also, I've been tinkering around trying to get this front bar aligned properly and get it on. Where it was all dragging on the road on the left-hand side there, it had been knocked off the clips and whatever. Got all that sorted out, so at least that's straightened out, and started putting the front end together, headlights and whatnot. They're just sitting in there at the moment. They're not in the best shape, obviously. Cloudy, that's the least of its dramas. This one here, all of the tabs are all snapped off there, so we'll have to make up a bracket or maybe try and find another good second-hand pair of them. Also, the grill's got a few broken clips on it as well, so we'll need to sort that out. Also, the bonnet, not in the best shape here. I don't know if that was going to pick up on the camera, but there's a bit of a nasty dent in that. Customer got it that way when he went to find a bonnet. Like I said, we didn't get it with the bonnet when the car was bought. So we've still got a fair list of bits and pieces to do to get this thing sorted out. Hopefully, I know I started this video saying that it would be shock horror not working on a Subaru, and then it's been a Subaru video. We will be onto the Lancer more next week and getting stuck into that. The weekend's upon us now, right at the end of the month. Just wanted to get a video done and get it out. So thanks very much for watching. Please like, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.